G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad NRL Fantasy Show. I'm Dyl, that's Stu, and we are the Fantasy Bros. We're excited to once again partner with GameDay Squad to bring you everything you need to know to succeed in GDS Rugby League in 2026. It is Wednesday, you know what that means. Team of Tuesday Squad. We've got plenty to discuss. The Origin Decide is 1 week away, which means we've got a lot to navigate. The last major buy round and plenty of Origin players missing as well. Plenty of coaches are going to have to dig deep this week, but hopefully we can sift through some of that noise and get you some of the best players for the round. Before we get there, though, Stu, welcome to the show, mate. Let's go around the grounds. We've already sort of teased a little bit on Instagram. How did you go in round 17?
Yeah, g'day, Dyl. G'day, viewers. G'day, listeners. Thanks for tuning in once again. Yeah, finally, I think I went back to back in a couple of rounds where I finished inside the top 10 for a number of different comps. I've sort of flirted with the top 10 here and there, but finally back to back. I've sort of had one good week and then a couple of down weeks, one good week, a couple of down weeks, but that trend is over now. 6 teams inside the top 20 last round, 5 teams inside the top 20 this round, and a first place in champion. You can see on screen there. You and I are pretty excited after you and Aiken crossed early in that game, early last round, and we said, look, finally we got something right early on. Let's hope he was pretty underplayed. I think he was. You said it's only going to be downhill from here, but fortunately we both had a bit of success there in champ. I see you in third place there as well. But yeah, first in champ, 6th in classic, 6th in the prime time, 7th in challenger as well. So it's nice to see that whatever we're doing on this show, mate, is paying off.
Yeah, definitely. You can see, yep, like you said, 3rd in champion. I always had 12th in under 24s. But also a big shout out to Haz, our good mate over on the AFL side. He follows all of our advice and he did quite well in the Contender comp as well. So it's good to see him up on the podium there too. Look, for me, it was Tommy Jenkins that got me over the line, I think. There was obviously quite a few options, and I think a few coaches might have played the Nwanga Tawazi early on in the round and were pretty disappointed with his 10-odd points. And I was fist bumping when Jenkins crossed for a double, like I predicted on the show last week after CNK had scored 4 down that left side there. So I was pretty happy with that to occur, and even happier that the Panthers lost, which means that the Warriors and the Dolphins stay really close within just a reach of that top 2, that top spot there. So pretty happy to see that result as well. So I couldn't complain about that weekend, but we've got to go all again. And like I said, there's plenty to look forward to.
Yeah, not only did we obviously make a few right picks on the show, but we also did have some hesitation around starting Mark Nwanga Tawazi with the stats there that said the Bronx were pretty good defensively down that side of the field. But yeah, as you can see, Dyl and I are continuing to have plenty of success in the weekly NRL competitions, as well as the boys over in the AFL side of things as well. So make sure you're joining us every single Wednesday night as we go live at 6 p.m. On our YouTube channel, giving you all of the insight as to who we're playing in our teams for the upcoming week. Our shows will preview who we think are the best plays across each of the positional groups and the bench spots. We'll discuss the all-important start sits. We'll talk about some potential pods and some fades of the round as well, just like we talked about Mikey Mark last weekend. We'll reveal our consensus starter team. We'll talk about our primetime Stats Lab competition team as well. And there's only one game this weekend as well, so only picking from the 2 teams there. We'll show you who we're starting in our sides this week. We'll plug the Stats Lab primetime competition, of course, our own FantasyBros Sunday Showdown competition as well. And you, the viewers, can win plenty of cards during the BroDown ShowDown segment. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to all of our socials as well. We're on Spotify, Apple, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search at FantasyBros AU. We've got plenty of content, plenty of pack and card giveaways throughout the season. So make sure you've subscribed and give this show a like as well while you're at it.
Yeah, definitely. Look, a big shout out to Sifkanga Jazz. He was in here nice and early, 20 minutes before the kick of the show. Howdy, let's get rowdy. It's great to see. It's a good way to pump up the bros, and g'day to Tracy Wall as well. Make sure you get into the comments. Let us know any of your start sit questions that you have, or any of your results over the last weekend. It'd be great to see how everyone is going. I know a good friend of the show, Matty P, or the Circus Crew, he secured his golden ticket in the FantasyBros Sunday Showdown last week, so he was pretty happy with that. Alrighty, don't forget as well, it's never too late. I know we're talking about round 18 and the season is starting to come to the back end, but it's never too late to get involved. If you're brand new to the show, if you're brand new to GameDay Squad, simply download the app, visit the website, for GameDay Squad. Create your account, use the promo code FBRL26, and you'll be getting 3 9-player common packs for free just for doing so. Get your squad started. You can use them in probably the Contender side and start building up some of your squads there, like I know a number of people have done over the last couple of years. Start with the Contender, build your way up, get a few wins here and there, and then you can start spending a bit of money on some of those harder to get cards. Why wait? Get involved. There's almost $4,000 worth of cash up for grabs. There's plenty of packs as well in prizes to be won each and every round of the NRL season. I know that from conversations and comments that I've seen across all of socials that a lot of people are out of all the other fantasy platforms. So jump in, get involved. Use the clear all button on Mondays and you can start your team again. So make sure you get involved. Join us as we collect, coach, and compete against some of the fantasy best have to offer. Alrighty, talking about the fantasy and the best that we have to offer, before we go on, there's a brand new GDS Cup starting this round. It is the GDS Cup where all teams that have ranked 80th or better in Classic have been organised into groups. So we're going to have a group stage over the next few weeks, which has been seeded, and then we'll have a knockout finals bracket as well. So each team, if you've qualified for that, you should receive an email. You'll also see it up on Discord, your matches and your group. I know that across the groups, there are 5 teams in each group and you get 1 bye in that as well. So plenty of opportunity to get involved, plenty of ways to win, more cards as well. And I believe the top spot is a draft selection pick at the end of season draft. So everyone is looking for that prize card now, and we're starting to talk about prize cards. Really important. You can see our matchups there. Stu, you're up against Vic, who's 65th ranked or seeded, and you're 20th. I'm 59th, up against Pain Train. And just quietly, I think a couple of people commented in Discord that I'm in the group of death. I've got some really good competition there, including Dan's Dynamos.
A bit like the Kiwis in the Football World Cup, eh?
Yeah, let's not talk about that anymore. It's tough to watch. Alrighty, mate, look, talk us through. We obviously got Origin coming up. All players are in camp. We've got plenty of buys. Talk us through some of the big names that we're going to miss this weekend.
Yeah, mate, not only some massive teams on the buys, you can see on screen there. I'll run through them for the audio listeners in a moment, but some really good fantasy relevant teams that sort of fill out most of our squads. You know, the Storm, Titans, the Roosters, even the Warriors. We're without the Cowboys, the Raiders, and the Doggies this round as well. On top of that, anyone that has their club playing but is tied up in Queensland versus New South Wales competition, they won't be taking the field either. So without Nathan Cleary and Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers, we won't have Payne Haas or Reece Walsh at our disposal either. Kalen Ponga and Hammer, they're in Origin camp as well. We can't pick from them. So it's pretty tough to go through and pick some really good players for this round. We do have to sort of scroll down and see who we've got at the bottom of those averages, sort of, to see who's maybe getting some extra minutes or maybe a bit of a chance to be a bit of a pod selection here. So, yeah, I think this is a great round for those coaches that are switched on and obviously watching this show. So many teams on the buy, so many good players out. But just quietly, I think we've come up with a pretty handy side for this round.
Yeah, I hope so. Look, the thing is, obviously, the Stats Lab put up the percentage played for those premium users. And at this stage, Cleary's still the second most played player across all standard competitions. Now, I know there's a bit of a changeover between last round and this round. We do have a couple of days still to get our team sorted, but they play Friday night. So coaches will want to sort that out pretty quick. And if he's still the second most played player, then anyone that's watching the show, anyone that, like you said, is switched on, is going to get slightly ahead. So look, let's jump into it. Let's talk through some of the players that we're keen on, some of the players we dislike across each of the positions. Look, let's start off with the hookers. Strongly consider it's pretty much a 2, maybe a 3-man race. For me, it's probably just the one that's standing out the most. But we've got Jeremy Marshall-King, Epi Coruscant, and Jake Simpkin gets the starting role over at the Sea Eagles again. A couple of points of difference. Pretty hard to come by something that really might be a differential here. But Talon De Silva and Phoenix Crossland are probably the 2 that stand out the most. And then some simple fades, Corey Pakes and Jaden Beryl. Who knows whether Beryl's even going to be able to start. I swear he's been named 4 or 5 times to start at hooker, and he never does. Puru comes on instead. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But talk us through, is it really simple? Just get straight into Jeremy Marshall-King, knowing that Brayley's not going to take part in the Sharks this weekend.
Yeah, spot on. I wouldn't really worry too much about those other hookers on the screen. I think it's all about JMK across just about every comp. We've seen how good he's been in the last 3 or 4 rounds. And now, obviously, no Maxi Plath there and a few others at the club. So we expect him to get all but 80 minutes. And look, he hasn't really got those big 80-minute games, just the 180-minute performance this season back in round 12. But he's shown over the last couple of weeks that he doesn't need the 80 minutes to go 50 plus. And look, that's really all we need from a hooker. And he is a hooker with some try scoring upside. He can also set up some tries too. He gets through plenty of tackles, and I think he's just going to be the most reliable hooker. Yeah, we might see some more attack from Api Coruscant. We might see plenty of tackles from Jakey Simpkin, but look, there's probably too many question marks around their role and their output. I think we just go safety, and JMK's done nothing wrong in the bye round against the Roosters in round 15. But if you didn't play him for his 68 points, you were licking your wounds there a little bit and hoping whoever you chose sort of matched him in that regard. So yeah, short and sweet, it's JMK for me.
Yeah, and we talked about JMK last week in terms of some of the question marks we had over him, with Max Plath coming off the bench and then also Snyder in and around the bench as well. Obviously, the Izzy Katoa injury means that Snyder's now taking part in the starting side. Plath out with Origin. There's not really anyone to take over that role. I guess Kurt Donahue has played a little bit of that rake before, but JMK obviously is the best option. In his last 5 games, when he started at hooker, he's remained on the park for at least 70 or an average of 72 minutes, and he's got an output of 50 GDS points there. The last 3 weeks, if we just look at that, it's increased to almost 60. So I think he's back to what sort of fantasy best that we know him at, and we're going to get about that 60. If you do want to go a little bit different, I was really keen on Jake Simpkin at the start of the season or even pre-season based on those numbers we saw at the end of the last year. He didn't really get to that yet. We have seen a couple of decent games. He had 70 last week when he started at hooker, and he ended up with 53 GDS points against the Storm. He's sort of averaging about that 70 minutes when he's starting at hooker, but he's really relying on just tackles. So if you want to see a tackle bot and you're happy with his 47 odd tackles, that's sweet. The issue for me is his missed tackle count, though. He's averaging 4.5 missed tackles per game. He's got very little running game. I think he's averaged 18 meters running across those games that he started hooker. So, yeah, for me, if you just want that tackle bot, you're happy with sort of his 50 tackles, knowing that he's probably going to fall off a couple. So he should be sitting at around 40 GDS points, and you want that safety, then by all means, that's someone that you should go with. What about Cookie? We talked about Cook last week and that presence of Little. Are you just not keen because of Little?
Look, if Little does a hamstring again in the warm-up and we get some news about it 10 minutes out from kickoff, I'll be far more interested in Damien Cook. But yeah, the combination of Cook and Little is just it's just no good for either of them. Yeah, they can have big games when they get some running meters or when there's an injury in the forward pack and both are on the field at the same time. But it's just way too hard to predict. Like if you play Damien Cook in the last 2 weekends, he's still got 50 plus minutes, but scores of 38 and 22 GDS points. That is no good from a guy that can go massive. He got a 94 not too long ago against the Penrith Panthers. He followed that up with a 69 and a 63 against the Wires and the Bronx, but that coincided with no Jacob Little. So yeah, Damien Cook's only in the conversation with no Jacob Little. Whenever he's floating around, it's a really tough play. You watch, there's going to be an injury in that Dragons forward pack now, and Cookie will get 80, and we'll be looking silly after that. But no, I can't buy into it with Jacob Little on the bench.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. If Little does go down injured in the warm-up or for whatever reason he's not taking part, then I think I'll be all over Cook, just purely based on those stats. When he's playing without Little in the side, Cook is averaging 80 minutes, scoring an average of 69 GDS points. But also the Tigers have given up 55 to hookers in the past four rounds or 4 weeks. So I think for me that there's definitely opportunity there. It's just whether he can find those minutes, because if Little's in the side, Cook's averaging 57 minutes, and it's just not good enough for what we need from a GameDay Squad point of view. In terms of maybe going somewhere different, both Sif Kanga and Tracy Wall are looking at JMK. Talk us maybe about Api Coruscant. He's not going to be as flash as Jeremy Marshall-King potentially, but is there any upside to someone like Api?
Oh, not really. There was when he was kicking goals some time ago, before Adam Dewey, before Jock Madden there. So he's about third in the pecking order now. He'll get probably 70 minutes. Jesse Lanyon there on the bench. Appy has been getting a lot of games sort of at between 50 and 60 minutes. He's gotten 70 for the last couple, but he's just putting that middling score together. His missed tackle numbers are pretty high as well. I think it's about 3.5 per game as well. He's not getting enough running meters. We're not seeing the same attacking Api Coruscant that we have in the past. Maybe he does step up that game a little bit, minus Jerome Luai in that side. But again, if I'd be playing him, it'd be with little faith.
Yeah. Alrighty, that's pretty simple then. J&K and then Daylight to the next best. Alrighty, let's jump into a massive round or a massive position, for this round in terms of some of the best options that we've got. Talk to us about those three on screen in terms of our strongly considered. Tyrrell May, Alex 12 back again, obviously was named, but then couldn't take part. And then Toby Couchman. Are they just the three set and forgets this week?
They are, yeah. And shout out to Alex Twile as well. He obviously wasn't named. I didn't get that news until the Sunday. Easy pivot there to Toby Couchman for a nice 77 as a diamond there for the champion team, and maybe a reason why I ended up on top of the podium there. But yeah, look, those three, if they're named on the team sheet, I'm not too concerned about Alex Twile returning from injury. They need him playing big minutes, and I think he can do it. Obviously, was close last week. They decided not to risk him, and I think maybe that's a good thing heading into this round. We did hear that he was, with the rehab group and that sort of thing. So maybe they're a little bit tentative to roll him out, but you just know that when he is on that team sheet and he does take the field, he should be good and ready to go. He's too good. He's shown that he's just getting too many minutes and getting through too much work to leave out of your side when named, particularly on a weekend where we've got, 7 teams on the bye, a whole heap of Origin stars out. We're short anyway, provided he suits up and does make that team sheet. When are they playing? 5:30 Saturday. Yeah, so we've got plenty of time to pivot off him again if we need to. Fortunately, they're not playing the last game of the round. But alongside Toby Couchman, Tyrrell May, Alex Twile, that's pretty easy slam dunk 3 for me.
It's pretty solid when we don't have the likes of Payne Haas in particular, even Isaiah Yeo, obviously with Origin as well. And a lot of coaches leaned on Isaiah Yeo last week. I think, those three are the big names that we want to get into our side. Xavier Willison, he's been someone that we've talked about quite a bit when Carrigan and Haas aren't in the side. He obviously had that concussion last week. I think he scored 17 GDS points, didn't spend too much time on the field. He's been cleared of any further symptoms and will line up at lock for the Broncos. Is he someone as well that you're just bringing straight into your side, knowing that those stats that we've talked about back and forward for the last few weeks, when he starts at lock, when he's playing without Carrigan and Haas, it's just going to be a real slam dunk?
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be my fourth middle there as well. I think the fact that it was a HIA and he's gotten that pass from the NRL. If it was a soft tissue injury, a shoulder or a cork or that sort of thing, I might be more hesitant to play him, given that he may not get through the same amount of workload. But look, if they've requested him to start and that's been granted permission, I see no reason why he can't get at least 75 minutes there at lock. He's done that twice already this season, 72 minutes and 75 minutes for a massive 79 and 80 point score. He just gets through a mountain of work with, like you said, with no Payne Haas, with no Paddy Carrigan. He is the Brisbane Broncos forward pack. So yeah, he's going to get big minutes. He'll get through big tackle numbers. He'll cart the footy up as often as possible. And whenever he's running it, he's always a chance of a tackle break and an offload. So look, those four would be in contention of a full week, with no buys at all if Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan weren't playing as well. So I think we've got 4 really good middles to start this week.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Willison. The other couple that I like in terms of a point of difference is 2 players. One we've talked about quite a bit in Hamish Stewart. He's someone I've sort of gone back and forward with, alongside the player that we have up on screen for the point of difference in Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. He's been named at lock. He's done that twice this season in round 13 and 16 for scores of 46 and then 92 respectively. That 92 did come with a try, but across both of those games, his base and power average was over 55 GDS points. He did the same thing across the past 3 seasons. He's averaged 72 minutes when starting at lock, and then he's averaging 62 GDS points. So that's obviously whenever Yo's not in the side, Lindsay Smith steps up and takes that place. Is he someone that you're seriously considering as well? And is that toss-up between that 4th spot between Willison, Smith and Hamish Stewart, or are you just going to look to diversify across a bunch of teams?
Yeah, look, Hamish Stewart has been really impressive. He's no secret now. He's sort of well entrenched in the top 7 or 8 middle forwards in the competition, averaging above 50. So, yeah, he's definitely someone that you can go to for a bit of safety. There's just more upside there in Lindsay Smith with no Isaiah Yeo there. We've seen it a few times over the past 2 seasons, and his minutes get a huge uptick. He scored 2 tries in the last 2 seasons with no Isaiah Yeo on the park. His tackle numbers go up, his run meters go up, just that natural involvement go way up, a bit like Xavier Willison. That 92 points was huge. I don't think we'll get a repeat of that, but it does show that he does have a bit of upside there as well. The 3 tackle breaks and the 2 offloads in that game is always pretty handy as well. So yeah, he's not quite at the same Xavier Willison rung for me, probably on par with Hamish Stewart now, given the big bump in the minutes for Lindsay Smith. So if I was going 5 middles, it would definitely be between Stewart and Smith for that 5th selection. I think I might like the edge forward slightly more as a third for the bench.
Yeah, definitely. All righty. In terms of our fades, I think it's a pretty simple one. We had to dig pretty deep to find some kind of fantasy relevant fade, but I think Colquhoun, he's just not getting the minutes that we need when he's starting at prop. Only 39 minutes for an output of 43, which looks great on paper in terms of points per minute, but it's probably just not enough in terms of those other middles and what they have to offer and their upside as well. And then, unfortunately, my boy Jackie Williams finds himself on the phase list this week, and he's averaging almost 4 tackles, missed tackles, per game, which is just absolutely killing him down that middle. So yeah, unfortunately, I just have to fade him. And as someone that, as much as I love him and love what he does, he's just on that fades list, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's jump into the edges. As you said, you're probably looking to play an extra edge this week. So talk us through. Is it just as simple as the 3 on screen and the strongly considers of Lucas, Duncan, and Fini Fuiaki?
Not necessarily. I think you might be slightly higher in Fini Fuiaki than me. I think I might go a double Rabbitohs alongside Dyl Lucas, just because Keon teased all of us last weekend and just reminded us of what he can do when he's playing in that prop forward position. Obviously been pretty poor dealing with an injury this season. I'd only had only a couple of scores above 50 for the entire season, but the weekend just gone, pumped out a massive 76 minutes playing in the front row for 68 points, 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 33 tackles, 210 run meters. Those were the types of numbers we were seeing from Keon week in, week out last season, where he was an absolute must start. We can plug him in at our edge forward spot, but we can get a big minute middle forward with a huge motor. Mind you, there's no Cam Murray there due to Origin. So I think this round is a massive opportunity for Keon Koloamatangi. He might be a little bit underplayed, given that we have to scroll down a little bit on the averages to find him, averaging just 43. But yeah, we've got huge amount of options there in the edge forward position, but definitely Dyl Lucas. And then I just have to decide on the next 2. I think it will be Keon. I think it will be Tallis Duncan. Let us know why you think maybe Fini Fuiaki over someone like Tallis Duncan.
Yeah, just before we do on Koloamatangi, that I love the 68 last week, and I love the way he went about it. The 4 tackle breaks, the couple of offloads, back to what we've seen in the past. It's just looking at the numbers earlier in the season. I know that he was dealing with some injuries and things like that, and maybe Cam Murray being out also might benefit that, but 75 minutes averaging when he's starting at prop, 48.5 GDS points. It's probably just not enough. That 68 obviously boosted that quite significantly because he's been in the 40s pretty much the rest of the time. On that edge forward side, I really want some more upside, and I know that Fini Fuiaki gives that to us potentially. He obviously was a bit unlucky being dropped from Origin. He obviously didn't do anything wrong. He didn't really get much in the way of game time at all, but this is the way it works, obviously, with rep footy, and it means that just it benefits the Dolphins, who are absolutely flying. Is it 7 matches where they've scored 5 or more tries in each game, which I think it's a record. I'll have to check that as well. But look, right edges against the Knights, they've been on fire as well recently with scores over the past month of 41, 31, but then soaring to 78 and 64. So I see this really as a massive upside and a potential for Fini Fuiaki, who we know has that upside and that try-scoring ability. You just have to go back to those 2 recent scores from Dylan Egan and Tony Suka, both crossed over. Tony Suka, we're talking about him as a bloke we hadn't thought of in a long time, go back a few weeks ago, and he's now starring for the Tigers and scoring tries at will. So I think for me, Fini Fuiaki, he's probably just a little bit better than both of those blokes in terms of what he has to offer. And both of those tries being scored down that side, it just means that I think he's in for a chance to have some big points, and off the back of potentially a try or two as well. And I know the issue is obviously going to be no Izzy Katoa and how that looks and what that Brad Schneider can do. But look, I was at that game last week, and Brad Schneider slotted in quite nicely. And I don't know what it looked like at home in terms of watching it on screen, but live, he looked like it was just the same old Finns, and that they were still going through their motions and still doing quite well in terms of their attacks. So I don't know if we lose too much. Maybe just more of that kicking game that we love from Izzy Katoa that we're going to lose more so than the running and the passing game.
Yeah, well, that was my main reason for a little bit of a knock on Finny Fuiaki. But yeah, if Brad Schneider can just give him some nice early pill and let him do the rest, he's probably a little bit dirty about not being in the Maroons camp this round. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a point to prove, and certainly on the radar for some of my teams this round.
So for me, the other question then for you is, we've got Fafita and Duncan lining up on each edge for the Rabbits. Do you have a read on who's playing which edge? I know that they've both played right and left. Fafita's played right over the last couple of weeks because Aitken's been playing on the left. Aitken's been dropped to the bench. I have no idea why. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. Is there a reason why you're going Duncan over Fafita at this time based on, is there anything that you know about how they're going to line up, or just the way that Duncan plays?
Yeah, no, nothing that I know is guaranteed to happen. Obviously, Jackie Whiten does come back there, so they want to find a spot for him in the centres. That means, Tallis Duncan has been in far too good form to move him back to the bench. So he moves over to the edge, and Ewan Aitken is the odd man out there. He'll obviously play a bit. You probably expect on the edge and through the middle as well. I expect if one of the edge forwards are going to get 80 minutes, if one of the edge forwards are not going to get 80 minutes, it's probably likely to be Dave Fafita there. Probably expect Tallis Duncan to get the full 80. In terms of where they're lining up, it does seem like they are using Dave Fafita on that right. Tallis Duncan has played on both sides of the field in the past 2 seasons, and he had a really nice combination there with Cody Walker. I think he ran off him for 3 tries or like 5 tries in 2 games toward the back end of last season. So I'd love to see Tallis Duncan lining up there on the left. I know the numbers don't really reflect a lot of success in that position, but we've seen how good Tallis Duncan can be in all areas of the field. He's got Origin footy written all over him, and again, it wouldn't surprise to see him in a sky blue jersey next year. I think he'll get through plenty of base, and he's got a whole heap of attacking upside. We know how dangerous that left edge can be for the Bunnies. It hasn't really happened for Dave Fafita this season. Ewan Aitken has gone well on that side of the field. I think Tallis Duncan a little bit more powerful, a little bit younger, so I expect a big game from him. But you've got some numbers that might paint a different picture.
Yeah, and obviously the previous stats and scores down each edge obviously affected with Origin, with a lot of players being out, and obviously Panthers are the most hit of most teams. But they seem to be allowing a lot more points down that right edge in terms of attackers' right edges. So if Fafita does line up there, the Panthers have allowed an average of 52 GDS points to right edges this season. The last 4 scores down that edge are 38, 47, 56, and 70. So I think there is a bit of an upside, because if we have a look at the other side on the left, Nanai scored 2 tries down that left side against a full strength, and he walked away with only 36 GDS points after scoring 20 from tries. The last 5 games for the Panthers down that left edge has just been an absolute stronghold, and they haven't let any points in. Maybe that's going to be different with a few players out, with lining up a little bit differently, but there's potential, I think. I know that Papali down that left side defensively, he's still there. Isaac Tungo probably is going to play that left centre role there as well. So there might be some ability for Fafita to roll over a couple of those blokes and potentially score, which we've seen recently in the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm just leaning Fafita at the moment, but I could easily just go either side. It's just based on those numbers that I think maybe Fafita might have the edge.
Yeah, a bit of a difference between Nathan Cleary defending on that side of the field versus Jack Cogger. Just what's he getting? 33 minutes per game for Cogger, but still averaging above 2 missed tackles per game. In the 2 80-minute games he has played at halfback, missed 5 tackles in both of those matches, and that was against the Titans and your Wars. So I think, yeah, there definitely is some susceptibility with Cogger defending on that that side of the field, that right-hand side of the field, where it will be the left back rower, but on the same side, it's on the same note, it's Blaze Talangi there on the other side of the field. So whichever Rabbitohs back rower gets the footy, you'd probably expect them to run over their opposition a couple of times. And so I think Cogger can be a bit of a weakness there. He's a lot different to Nathan Cleary, but also the fact that there's probably some missed tackles on that side of the field with Nathan Cleary running the footy and using his edge or his centres around him, and that could result in some negative points for the opposition back rower there. So totally different game, I think, when Cleary's not on the field.
100%. So instead, maybe I'll just put a line through both of them. Talk to me about Ryan Couchman playing lock. Is he someone that we can just bring into our sides? And once again, one of 4 Dragons that we can bring into our sides that are scoring really well fantasy-wise, but obviously not getting the results for the Dragons.
Yeah, just a weapon, isn't he? It probably is interesting to note, though, that his minutes have been slowly decreasing. And with that, we've seen his lowest score for about the last 2 months of footy on the weekend with just a 46 there against the Raiders. Back in round 12, we saw him get 71 minutes. He's since gone 69, 62, 63, and 59. So about a 12-minute drop-off in about the span of 6 weeks. And maybe that's just because he's a young player. He's never played this many minutes, and the footy's just taking a bit of a toll on his body. There's not a lot for the Dragons to play for. Obviously, him and a number of those other forwards are a big part of their future. So maybe there's just some indication that he might see fewer minutes. And he was an absolute beast getting 70. When he's getting 60, he comes back to the field just that little bit. Let's hope that during these bye rounds that the minutes can be back up there. But yeah, just a little bit of concern seeing that 46 points in 59 minutes and a slow decrease in minutes over the past 6 rounds.
Yeah, and then 2 players that I think are pretty simple fades. Ewan Aitken, firstly, he's coming off the bench. I think I don't want anything to do with him at this stage, even though we absolutely love what he put out last week. And then Ben Trbojevic off a big score last week. We just don't see him repeating that again.
Yeah, don't chase those points.
Definitely not. Alrighty, let's jump into the halves. And I think this is probably the hardest position we've got at the moment. And we were just talking about before we went live. Fogarty and Hines look probably the 2 most likely to be in everyone's side. From there, it's the third half that I'm really struggling with. Firstly, Fogs, he's against the Eels. They're allowing 62 GDS points to right halves. They're only restricted opposition right halves to less than 40 3 times this season. So I think there's plenty of upside to Fogarty. The question mark is, Garrick's back in the side. Will Fogarty kick goals or will Garrick? That's the only concern that I have. In terms of Hines, he's in the same spot as Sammy Walker was last week against the Broncos, and the Broncos are on a cold streak of 7 losses in a row. And so I think Hines could do something similar to what Sammy Walker did last week. The question is then, and I need your help with this, where am I going with my third half?
Well, if those 2 halves that you mentioned aren't near 100% played, I reckon we might have a few ghost teams or a few coaches that have forgotten to put their sides in this week because, yes, those 2 look pretty slam dunk plays. Let's hope Fogarty does retain the kicking duties. It'd be annoying if Garrick does get them back. It'll just mean, maybe 9 or so points that we can take off his score. Still should be good for a 50 or a 60. But yeah, you're right. The big question for the weekend is certainly that third half spot. And you and I were talking before the stream that someone like Cody Nikorima is actually a somewhat of a consideration, and that just shows sort of how dire that third spot might be. But for me, it's the man on screen. It's Dylan Brown. Look, he hasn't been amazing this season. He's been a little bit up and down. But what I like most about Dylan Brown is his scores without Kalen Ponga. He's played 3 games without KP there, so that means that the footy side becomes his a little bit more. He, doesn't have that safety of knowing that KP is sweeping out behind the back and knowing that if he gives him early ball, then it's up to KP to make something happen and, dish on to Bestel, Marju and Dom Young on the other side of the field. So I'm happy to put a line through round 7 against the Roosters for Dill Brown. There was just the 32 points there. But versus the Panthers in round 8 and the Dragons in round 16 without Kalen Ponga, scores of 102 and 78 GDS points, 1 try and 2 try assists across those 2 matches. So it hasn't been like he's been scoring for fun. He's just getting so much more involved, and it's through the run meters, 200 run meters and 195 run meters. For a half, that's insane. And particularly for someone like Dylan Brown, who can break a tackle, 11 tackle breaks across those 2 games as well. He's definitely someone that has some upside. And I think the fact that there's no KP just means he's likely to run the footy a little bit more and maybe throw the last pass. Unfortunately, it is a tough game there against the Finns. Let's hope it's maybe a high-scoring game. You know, a 36-34 type game would be just fine. But, yeah, look, no one's jumping off the page apart from Dill Brown's numbers, albeit a small sample size when KP's not in that side.
Yeah, I like it because I was looking at his halves partner, I guess we could call him at the moment. He is playing fullback in terms of Fletcher Sharp. We currently have him on the pod side of things in terms of the point of difference, but I think I'm pushing him into the fade list based on the numbers that the Finns are throwing up for opposition fullbacks. They've been absolutely unreal restricting fullbacks this season, but really specifically, it's over the last 5 rounds where we've seen a massive wall of defence go up against fullbacks, which we didn't really expect from a Dolphins side, where they didn't put as much stock into their defence and more so into their attack. But it's actually been some really quality that they've stopped, and there've been some quality fullbacks that they've stopped as well. They've limited fullbacks in the last 5 rounds to an average of 27 points. That includes Tuapiki, Buller, and Drinkwater, all scoring 22. So at this stage, for me, wow, Fletcher Sharp is on that fade list just based on those numbers. It'd probably dig a little bit deeper in terms of Fletcher Sharp playing fullback and what he has to offer there, but it's such a tough thing when we've got someone and those numbers that you've just mentioned of Dill Brown's stature, where he will take control, and Fletcher Sharp playing, I guess, out of position. He's sort of played all over the field in a number of different roles, but playing out of position, maybe it's just the simple of, play the bloke that does take control of the side, and is one of the reasons why they're currently sitting 5th on the ladder, and play the Dill Brown option. The downside is going to be that Dill Brown probably won't kick goals. That's probably going to be Sandon Smith, who's in the side, unless maybe something might happen and they might switch that up, which would definitely boost that. But for me, I think Fletcher Sharp, just as Sif put the question up, thoughts on Sharp, I've just really nullified that for you, Sif. I think, for me, I think I'm putting a line through Sharp, and I think I might even do that. Although there's going to be limited options in the under 24s, I think maybe I might even have to get a line through Sharp based on those numbers there.
I don't think I can leave Sharp out of my under 24 team. He last time he played fullback, 2 tries for 63 points. I think he was on about 40 odd at halftime. We thought, here we go, this is Sharp's big breakout. Didn't quite continue on with that, but definitely a try scorer. And if the Knights are going to score points minus KP, you probably expect Sharp to be there or thereabouts. Probably not enough confidence to get to him in the 4 weekly round competition, but he's got plenty of upside. We don't have Galvin, we don't have Katoa in that under 24 competition. I think you'd be a brave man to leave him out of your under 24.
We'll see. Look, Braden Trindle, point of difference at the moment. Is that just the matchup that we've got and the options that we have, or is there something else around Braden Trindle with Hines back in the side as well?
No, not necessarily. It's just more of the matchup. The Bronx are a bit of a basket case at the moment. No Haas, no Carrigan. They're going to be very soft through the middle, and that's a type of opposition that Braden Trindle likes to feast on. It wouldn't surprise me if he does have one of those random Braden Trindle games where he outscores Nicho Hines and does it comfortably. He has done it in the past. We've seen him really good without Nicho Hines previously. He's probably going to come back to the pack a little bit now that Nicho is back. But look, if there's any issue with Nicho, we'd expect Braden Trindle to have a lot more involvement in the game. So he's someone with tremendous upside. But then we remember that he's a bloke that scores 12 points in 80 minutes, and he's done it once this season. He's had a number of matches below 30 points as well. So with a pretty handy ceiling comes also a very dangerously low floor. And you and I don't like playing our GDS sport like that. We want to have a guy that's at least going to put up some decent base numbers with the chance to go high. So I don't know if I can get to Braden Trindle, but it absolutely would not surprise me.
Yeah, look, there's another bloke that I'm I've got my eye on. I don't know if I can get around a Sea Eagles double in my halves, but Joey Walsh is potentially a great point of difference as well. The numbers suggest it could be a big game for both players. The Eels are allowing plenty of points to both halves. 62, as I said, for right halves, but left halves, 51 that the Eels have given up this season. Obviously, he came in, played the 40 minutes, didn't score too well, scored 25 points for the injured Luke Brooks, but In that game that he did start in round 10, he scored 53. That's with a try. And he started in round 9. He scored 37. He's obviously an unreal talent. We've talked about him quite a lot in the preseason. Is this now the time? He knows that he's going to be there probably the rest of the season with that Luke Brooks injury. Is this the time that he steps up against a sort of weakened defence in the Eels?
Yeah, maybe. I don't mind it, particularly in the under 24 competition. Absolutely. But yeah, I think this is just Jamal Fogarty's team, and Joey Walsh won't really overplay his hand. He'll probably get a feel for the game, and as the season continues, depending on how long Luke Brooks is out for, he'll have a more and more role moving forward as well. He's obviously a big name and big talent for the future. I just don't know if we've seen enough. Obviously, it's a massive maybe pod play to go him over someone more established like Dill Brown. But this is how you win GDS, isn't it? Right. Yeah, you go for that guy that has a big breakout game when no one else is on him. So yeah, brave play, but definitely a talented footballer, and definitely someone that's not just going to graft his way to 25 points because he's no good at attacking footy. If the game clicks and the Seagulls score 40 or 50, yeah, he could return a massive score.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on him, and remember it's dynasty aspect, so you can make sure you keep all of his cards because I think he'll be around for a long time. Already, centres, I think it's a pretty simple one this week. We've got the 2 best centres in the competition in terms of Herbie Farnworth and then Adam Doueihi obviously playing out of position. Look, we don't need really any analysis on Herbie Farnworth. The only thing I want to say is he finally hit his 100 tackle breaks last weekend. The record that I could find for... I think I went back to about 2018, 2017. I couldn't go back any further, couldn't find any more details. So happy for me to be wrong here. But Marju had 171 tackle breaks in 2023. Do we think Farnworth can get to that with 8 games, 9 games left without an injury? 72 tackle breaks. Do you think he can make it?
Oh, gee, it'd be touch and go, wouldn't it? As long as he's not too aware about that hamstring, we want him fully fit and having no awareness about that injury whatsoever. Look, if the Finns get on a roll post-Origin and they are surging for a top 4, top 2, or even a premiership spot, he'll be absolutely amongst that. So let's do a Herbie Farnworth tackle break count as we go. Maybe fortnightly or weekly as we get close to the end of the season, but that's a pretty decent stat there, mate.
Definitely. Look, and then Adam Doueihi returned last week finally, got through the game, finished on 52 points. Obviously, some of his best work. Again, he faces the Dragons, who have allowed plenty to right halves. They've averaged 57 this season. It makes them the second easiest matchup for right halves this weekend. It's an easy out of position play. Is there any reason why you wouldn't go Adam Doueihi?
No, just if you're concerned about his injury history. Like if you played him in round 9 against the Sharkies, like just about everyone did, you would have been disappointed with his 26 points despite scoring a try in the first 10 minutes. But that is what we know can happen with Adam Doueihi, those shoulders, knees, hamstrings. But I think he's just got too much upside. We've seen it all season long that he can absolutely deliver. What I thought was most impressive was he was back to his kicking best, 524 kick meters, his most of the season to date, and by a long, long way. But obviously, he's still showing some signs of that shoulder. 4 missed tackles is his most missed tackle count for the season. But look, when you've got a goal-kicking, try-scoring, attacking footballer playing in the halves for his team, but in centre for GameDay Squad, I think it's certainly a risk that you should take week in, week out. And I'm not playing a game of footy without Adam Doueihi in my side.
So they're strongly considered, along with Kale Ero. Is he someone that you're looking to get into some of your pod sides, or is it just they're making up some numbers?
I can't find a spot for Ero. He's had a pretty poor month. Obviously, Nico Hines returns. You probably expect a little bit more footy to go left, but his numbers with and without Nico are actually really similar. So Nico's involvement doesn't give him a huge spike as you may expect. So no, we just haven't seen the best from the Sharkies or that left-hand side of the field. Apart from that stretch of 2 matches in a row where he scored back-to-back hat tricks for a 70 and an 80, he's sort of gone off the boil since. When you've got Herbie Farnworth and Adam Doueihi, you just lock them in and then look elsewhere for the other positions.
And what about what Gannis says here? Val Holmes for 100 bomb this weekend. Are we all for it, or will his demerits get in the way?
Oh, mate, he's that type of bloke that absolutely will just come out of nowhere and score that massive score after doing almost nothing all season. What has he done? He's had that one big blow-up match. But no, it's just too many errors, too many missed tackles. What did he get? Yeah, 2 tries, 5 goals. Still 5 missed tackles in that big 74-point performance, but 34.3 points for the season. That is just so ugly looking compared to what we know and love from Val Holmes. Yeah, look, if you want to play him in your side, Ganners, good luck, buddy. But no, I certainly cannot get there myself.
Definitely not. A couple of points of difference. Stafford Toa and then Ruben Garrick returning from that concussion. Do we think he's going to kick goals, or are they still just going to play it safe and give the tee straight back to Fogarty?
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe when we saw them both on the field and Garrick did have the kicking tee, maybe they had decided that it was his role, and if it was just a concussion, then there's no reason why he should be giving the tee up. And when he returns, he'll probably get it back, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth for Fogarty. Owners there were less likely to play Ruben Garrick. But look, when the Seagulls are scoring points, there's so many goals on offer for Ruben Garrick, 4-3-2, 7-6-2 in his stint of goal kicking. It's just so tough to know. We're probably going to see them both kicking goals in the warm-up. So if you're someone that's hesitant to play Ruben Garrick and you want to make sure that he's got the kicking tee, it's going to be pretty tough. I think we'll know after this round, moving forward, if Ruben Garrick is going to be a more solid play if he does get the goal kicking tee back. But yeah, look, Fogarty's done nothing wrong with it. Ruben Garrick did have it when they were both on the park. It's tough to tell, but they probably will score plenty of points. If you want to risk it and go him and hope that you do get that goal kicking upside, then it certainly wouldn't be the worst shout.
Definitely. Look, and then on the fade side, Dane Gagai, he's just ages catching up to him. And then Katoni Staggs up against the Sharks. Such a tough matchup, I think, for Katoni Staggs. The Sharks have allowed 32 in the past 5 to right centers. That includes a 7, a 14, and a 27 in rounds 13 to 15. So, look, Staggs is a great player, but that Shark side, now that they're almost back to full strength, obviously without a couple of their Origin players, I think it's just too hard to get to when we've got some other really great options. Alrighty, let's jump into our wingers. And once again, I'm going to have to lean on your expertise here because we have, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 guys that could easily be slotted straight into your wing spot because we don't have the likes of Suafailonga, who we just plug and play each and every round. We've got to go elsewhere. So our strongly considered at this stage is Jermaine Asako, Tommy Jenkins, and then our man, Davida Nafahu, who has been absolutely unreal when given a chance. Is he someone you're just jumping straight into?
Yeah, I think I will play him. And remember that that show a couple of weekends ago when we were umming and ahhing about which winger we sort of talked about, Bostock. And then the more and more we thought about it, sort of talked us into Davida Nafahu. And he's been absolutely electric in 3 games on the wing, scored a try in all 3 games, over 200 run meters in 2 of those 3 games, 195 in the other one. But it's because he's running the footy so much and he's a big body, he's breaking tackles for fun.
Yeah.
8 tackle breaks, 3 tackle breaks, and 6 tackle breaks. Just the 1 try, but he's still scoring 65, 72, and 74 points. I think when we're talking about the wing spot and we want safety, if a player doesn't score tries, Davida Nafahu has that written all over him. Compare that to Tommy Jenkins. If Tommy Jenkins doesn't score, mind you, if Tommy Jenkins scores 2 tries, he still can score 30 points. We've seen that already. There's evidence of that. Davida Nafahu just gets through so much work. He doesn't make many errors, doesn't miss tackles. He's definitely the definition this weekend of safety with plenty of upside. Playing outside to be fun with.
Yeah, the thing that I think is most impressive from an NRL point of view, not so much a fantasy point of view, was his defensive work and his chase when I think it was the Roosters that made the break a couple of weeks ago, and he was nowhere near that ball at all. He was the other side of the field. He wasn't in view of the camera, and then all of a sudden you just see him absolutely flying from that left wing all the way across to the right side of the field and made the tackle and stopped the try from being scored in the corner. That kind of effort is just unreal to see. And that kind of effort is rewarded by coaches as well. So I expect that we're going to see a lot more of him in the future. And again, this is just going to be another opportunity for him to show why he should be in that starting side, probably next year once Isako moves over to the Storm. So it would be great for him to get a few more reps under his belt. And it just shows how quick he is as well. So if he's in any kind of space, then he's gone for all money. All right, there's one. Who's our next winger then? We've got, look, our options, as I said, Jenkins, Isako. We've also got some point of difference in terms of Bizza, Brian To'o, Lehigh Hopewadi, potentially even Ronnie Muatalo. Marju offers some value as well. Where are we going with our second winger?
For me, it's the guy that's got some base with upside, and that's because he kicks goals. So Jermaine Isako, I'm going to have both Dolphins wingers in my side with, no real confidence, but there's so many question marks or red flags for so many other names on that list. Just think Greggy Marju, Dom Young, no KP there. Their numbers suffer. Lehigh Hopewadi could be anything, but even on the end of a really good Manly backline, can have a really low score in him. Yeah. Tommy Jenkins, I think, is the interesting one. We play him just about every week where there's a good matchup. But when there's no Nathan Cleary in the side, he's a completely different player. Just the 2 games this season without Nathan Cleary for scores of 30 and 32. Yeah. And they were against, one of those games was against the Titans there. No tries without Nathan Cleary on the park. His run meters are down. His error count is also way up. So the Panthers are coming out of their own zone a little bit more. There's more pressure on them. The game's tighter for no Nathan Cleary. And they don't have that attacking output when he's not in the side either. So just with that in mind, even looking back last season without Nathan Cleary, his highest score was 54 with a try and a couple of games below 50 as well. So a higher average last season, but the 2-game sample size this year without Nathan Cleary definitely tells me that I might look elsewhere from Tommy Jenkins. Obviously, a tremendous try scorer. If the Panthers get on a roll, they're likely to score points down his edge. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bizza outscores him, and it's just comes down to a bit of a base battle. Obviously, a bit of a point to prove there for Bizza. Hey, randomly getting dropped from Origin, just about the best winger we've seen in that arena for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, gets out jumped by Jojo Fafita, and all of a sudden loses his spot. So yeah, I think he'll certainly stand up and have a big game. But again, the Panthers are a different side there without Nathan Cleary, without Isaiah Yeo. I expect them to, probably not get that same amount of attacking upside. So in summary, Jermaine Isako should get through some base, will kick goals, and let's just hope it's a 36 to 34 point scoreline on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the upside for Isako as well is the Knights allowing 41 points to right wingers over the past 5 games. And there's 3 games in the middle there that range from 45 to 61 with a try in each of those games. So there's definite upside there. The Finns are scoring, like I said earlier, an average of 5 tries a game. They've equaled the NRL for most consecutive games scoring 5 tries or more. So it also means that if Isako's not scoring the try, he's looking at converting it. And look, yeah, he had a down game last week with the boot, but the one that counted the most, that was the most important, he was able to slot quite easily. So I think there's plenty of upside there. I did a little bit of digging between Jenkins and Bizza, and because I really wasn't sure which way I was going for either of them. I definitely have locked in Isako. I like Nafahu in a couple of my sides, but if I wanted to get a point of difference, I wanted to get a Panthers player into my side, a Panthers winger. As you said, Jenkins, he doesn't score too well with Cleary not there. To'o hasn't played without Cleary this season, but in 2 games last season, he had a 54 and then a 24. Both of those, interestingly, were against the Bunnies, who they're up against this weekend as well. The thing that I think is swaying me towards To'o is Dane Jennings lining up on the left wing, I would assume, in place of Alex Johnston with Cozzy over on the right. I think for me, that's the defining factor that we haven't seen him in a full NRL match. I think he played 20 minutes off the bench so far. He's probably an unknown factor defending alongside Latrell 2.0, where the new chemistry, Cody Walker down that side as well can fall off tackles. I think there's an opportunity there for, as you said, if Bizza doesn't get across, there's still going to be some tackle breaks. There's still going to be plenty of meters. So I think it's just a base and power aspect of Brian To'o over Jenkins for me. It is very close, but that Bunnies side as well, they've allowed an average of 44 GDS points down that right side in terms of attack in the past 5 games, that is, and Kelly and Saab have both scored 50 plus. So obviously Brian To'o is much better than both of those blokes put together. So I think if they can score 50, then surely Brian To'o can get the 50 plus as well.
Yeah, don't mind that at all. We just need Jack Cogger and Paul Alamotti to be able to shift the ball to Bizzer. I think Alamotti loves playing the footy, does not enjoy passing it.
He needs to get back on the wing. Look, the last one for me is the Sharks. Obviously, the Sharks have a really good matchup against the Broncos. Ronnie could be an absolute pod, and I think Katoa is someone that we put a line through. Katoa over there is on our fade list at the moment. The Bronx are restricted Nwangani Tuazi to just 10 points last week. Katoa is probably going to line up on that side. I think that's a simple fade. But on the other side, the Bronx have allowed 6 tries to left wingers in their past 2 games. So Ronnie Muatalo could be in with a bag full this weekend if they get things right.
Yeah, if you don't want to play KL Iro, but you like the Sharkies, putting on a score against the Bronx, it's a pretty nice way to hedge getting Ronnie there. When he does score tries, he can get some big GDS scores. If he's not scoring, his points are pretty low. I definitely wouldn't go near Sione Katoa if he's on the right-hand side. But yeah, I absolutely see some benefit, some upside in that left-hand winger there in Ronnie.
And great that once again, Chris O, thank you for your comment. Ronnie could be a solid pod, and you just took the words out of her mouth. So great work there. The other fade there that I have is Dom Young. I do like Greggy Marju on the other side, but the Finns have only given up 12.6 to right wingers in the past 5. That includes a 10 to DWZ last week, a 2 to Laybutt, and a 1 to Edward Cozy. In fact, if we go back 10 matches, and I just had a look a little bit further, right wingers have averaged only 15 points against the Dolphins. So let's put a line through Dominic Young. Alrighty, into the fullbacks. And we've got 3 really great options in terms of how strong we consider. Trey Fuller comes in for the Hammer and will play at fullback. We've got Tommy Trbojevic back to his absolute best. And then Dill Edwards as well as the lone Panther. I think that has probably been a bit unlucky in the Origin arena, dropped again, but obviously benefits coaches in GDS. Our 2 points of difference is Gray and Buller. They're also available in under 24s. And then our fade, I've got Siegwald there as a fade, and I've also got Iongi. Do you want to talk through who you think is going to be the number 1 fullback this weekend?
It's easy to say Turbo or Dill Edwards, but for me, I love Trey Fuller. Whenever he's in that number 1 jersey with no hammer, it doesn't matter who else is in that side. He just tucks the ball under his arm and he gets through plenty of base. He's also scored 2 tries in his last 2 matches in round 15 and 16, playing in the number 1 jersey. He also breaks tackles for fun, 8 and 4 to average 6 tackle breaks in those last 2 matches as well, for scores of 50 and 70 GDS points. He's averaging 246 run meters from the back and even ticked over 300 in round 15 against the Roosters. If you want someone that's going to get through plenty of base with some attacking or try scoring upside, it's definitely Trey Fuller. We've already spoken about liking Herbie Farnworth, Tavita Nafahu, Jermaine Azarko, because we think there's going to be plenty of points on offer in this game. He's another man that's going to be responsible for that. So, yeah, I like him a lot above Jai Gray, Doreen Buller. I think there's a bit of daylight between those top 3 there on screen.
Yeah, definitely. I think Turbo for me is going to be have a big game up against the Eels. It should be an absolute cracker. We've already talked about Fogarty being involved in a lot. The Eels have given up 52 GDS points to fullbacks in the last 5 games. Jai Gray 51, Kerry Weeks 57. Connor Tracy even had a 62, and that was without a try. So there's plenty of upside there for fullbacks. But for me, it is the 2 pods that I'm pretty keen to get into my side somewhere, definitely in my under 24s, but may even find a little spot somewhere else. Jai Gray, it seems like a really tough matchup. We always seem to look to fade any players against the Panthers, but the last 5 games suggest the Panthers' defense is getting quite soft against fullbacks. They're allowing 51 to fullbacks since round 11. Is he someone that you're probably just going to have in your under 24s, or is he going to find a way somewhere?
It'll just be the under 24s. I don't think I've got a lot of faith in that Bunny side, minus Cam Murray. No AJ there to finish, with some speed down the left-hand touch line. Jai Gray's got a really low floor as well if he's not doing a lot. We've seen, obviously, the 6 points when he got injured, but, 23 as well there against the Finns back in round 11. No, not super exciting. Maybe during Buller if we think the Tigers can get on a bit of a roll with Twile back though.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting question. We target this matchup for fullbacks against the Dragons. They're allowing the most to fullbacks all season. It's the easiest matchup. Last week, though, Ponga just could not get it going. And obviously that game was horrible to watch. If you didn't turn it off at halftime, I don't know what you're doing. But horrible way to end the round. But Buller up against the Dragons, is there any way that you can get to him, knowing that, look, he's had some real down games as well this season, but he's had a couple of decent ones in terms of a 74 and a 57 earlier in the season?
Oh, I want to, but it's just the floor that is really scary. The last 4 weeks, his top score is 42 points, and he's had the Titans, the Finns, and the Knights amongst them, and some teams that can be scored against. Often, if the Tigers are scoring points, it hasn't been through during Buller. Lately, maybe that's different without Jerome Luai. Maybe he's got a bit more responsibility there. It does mean, there's obviously more responsibility for Adam Dewey. I'm just looking at some numbers without Jerome Luai, and what would you know? Those big scores have coincided with no Jerome Luai in the side. The 74 against the Knights back in round 6, no Luai. 2 tries. 55 against the Eels in round 5, no Luai, 1 try. 57 against the Wars in round 4. No Luai, 1 try, averaging 62 without Jerome Luai. So there you go. Maybe there's something to read into that, particularly when the Dragons give up plenty of points to fullbacks.
How about that? I love that. Obviously, straight into the under-24 side, bit of salary on that as well. Look, just quickly, Sif Kanga has put up a player, Tom Fuller. Is Tom Fuller going to get into your side this weekend at all?
I just got to Google Tom Fuller.
Oh, mate, who is Tom Fuller?
No, I can't tell you too much about him, unfortunately.
And Trey Fuller.
Oh, of course, he means.
Yes. He's talking about the 2 players that he's getting in. Yeah. Love your work, Sif Kanga. Also, welcome to Michael Cozzy. A bit late to the party work, so you'll have to rewatch a bit later. And thanks to the bros for all the advice last week. He really improved, so it's great to see. Hopefully, you can continue to improve and catch up with everything. Alrighty, let's have a look at our primetime consensus. Starting 13. And once again, this is our consensus squad for the Stats Lab primetime competition. Massive shout out to the Stats Lab team, JT and all the guys there. Their ongoing support of the Fantasy Bros. So make sure you head over to the statslab.app. That's where we go and we use all of their tools to get some really good data. And we looked at analysing that data. So they've got player stats from every game. They've got the matchup strength. They've got the player comparisons, plus plenty of analysis tools, as well as some of their teams to beat. So they've got a consensus side for the prime time, as well as a starter side as well. So make sure you check that out. You can see on screen our prime time, obviously dominated between the 2 teams playing, the Rabbitohs and the Panthers. Without Origin stars, we've got Tavita Totola and Moses Leota up front with Freddie Lussick in the middle there. Then we've got that Lindsay Smith at lock that we talked about. Klong Matangi and Duncan on each edge. Cody Walker and Jack Cogger in the halves. And then our centres, Isaac Tungo and Jackie Whiten on his return. Bizza and Alamotti make up our wing spot with Dylan Edwards at fullback. Remember, that is just our starting 13. We've also got some bench players to consider as well. No doubt Jenkins will be in there somewhere. Across to our starting 13, consensus starting 13 for round 18. These are all the guys that we talked about that we really love. We're going to get into our sides. We've got Jerry Marshall-King at hooker. We've got Tyrrell May and Alex Twal in the forwards, with Toby Couchman locking the scrum. Tallis Duncan gets the nod just over a couple of other players there alongside Dill Lucas. In our halves, we've got Hines and Fogarty. Our backs, we've got... I can't see that. We've got Farmworth and we've got Dewey. We've got Jenkins and Asako. And then we've got Tom Tavoyevich as our fullback as well. Once again, we don't have our bench players there. We've talked about a whole lot of pods and a whole lot of strongly considered. So make sure you sift through some of that data and work out where you want to go with your bench. Alrighty, on to my favourite part of the segment. Only when I win, the BroDown ShowDown. I got up 2-1. I don't know why, but for some reason I was watching the Storm game and I thought that I had gone Tom Jenkins and you'd gone Suafai Longo, and I was getting really upset that Stuart Farlongo was doing so well, and then I was fist pumping when Jenkins was scoring, and then I checked back and I thought, well, what a difference. But look, I think it's important to point out as well that you ended up scoring more points overall across your three players compared to mine, but it's all about the head-to-head matchup. So Jenkins up against Sewer, Marshall King up against Grant, and then Cleary up against Campbell. So I took it out 2-1. It also means that we are, I believe, tied 9-9 now. So it's awesome.
We are.
We are back and forward. But for everyone that got involved and commented Dyl, we've spun the wheel off screen, and the winner for this round is Fantasy Stats. I know that they get involved. They watch the show back afterwards. So congratulations to Fantasy Stats. I'm going to open a 9-player rare pack for you right now. You get all 9 players. So let's jump into this here and make sure we can get it going. Here we go. All you have to do to get involved is make sure you comment on our BroDown Showdown segment. So that'll come up in a moment with this round's BroDown Showdown. And you can get involved and potentially win plenty of prizes, including a rare pack that I'm about to open right now. So let's jump straight into it and see what Fantasy has won. Okay, let's get some players for this week. We've got Grant Anderson in gold. We've got Isaiah Papali'i in gold. An option, definitely. Lanane. Maxi Plath in gold. An absolute nugget of a player when he's playing. Adama Ho, great option when they're available. Nick Meaney in the plat. Fletcher in the gold. Brown gold. Double Brown gold to finish off strong. So some decent options there. Make sure Fantasy Stats, you hit me up on Discord and get all of those cards to you. Congratulations. As I said, BroDown Showdown is back again. We've got the round 18 BroDown Showdown. All you need to do is comment who you think is going to win the head-to-head matchup. So once again, it is Nico Hines on Stu's side up against Jamal Fogarty on my side. It is Lucas for Stu up against Fini Fuiaki for me. And then Appy Coruscant for Stu and Jeremy Marshall King for me. So if you think that Stu's going to get it done with his 3 of Hines, Lucas, and Coruscant, comment Stu. If you think I'm going to get one up on Stu, then go with Dyl. Make sure you get those comments in before kickoff of the last game on Sunday afternoon to be involved in the BroDown Showdown, and you can potentially win some amazing cards across those rare and unique packs that we are giving out. Alrighty, that is it for another Unreal episode. The third and final Game 3 State of Origin. That'll be our preview show next week. It will be 6 p.m, July 8th. We better get our good friend Matt or XRP Effect back on just for one more State of Origin show to rub it in that Queensland got up there and will likely get up in the series, and also give him some congratulations. He's continued to absolutely nail his Queensland versus New South Wales picks. I think he is first on that seasonal leaderboard across those 3 games, or the 2 games, so far. So good on XRP. It just means that he's bringing the best advice to the show as well. So make sure you tune in for that. That is Wednesday, 8th of July, 6 p.m. Get around it. Stu, have a great weekend, mate. We've got a shortened round of rugby league, but plenty to get involved with across the weekend for sure.
Thanks, mate. You too. Good luck.